Karoline Leavitt, the 27-year-old White House press secretary, just took the Late Show stage by storm in a way no one expected. Her opponent was none other than Stephen Colbert, America's master of satire, known for skewering politicians with sharp jabs, especially Trump. But this time the tables turned on live television. Leavitt, a Gen Z powerhouse representing Trump's voice, and the MAGA movement came ready for battle. It became a clash of youthful precision versus seasoned comedy of MAGA's intensity against media arrogance. With her cutting delivery, clear facts, and unshakable poise, Leavitt transformed the stage into a battleground. Even Colbert's audience seemed caught off guard. Colbert, confident in his charm, tried to belittle her with one of his signature jabs, suggesting working for Trump must be exhausting. With his late-night tweets, Leavitt calmly responded that she sleeps just fine because she knows Trump is putting America first, and then turned the heat up, asking Colbert if he sleeps. Well, twisting the truth for laughs, the room fell silent. Colbert raised an eyebrow, realizing his joke had been flipped, and he was on the back foot trying to regain momentum. He joked about babysitting Trump, but Leavitt didn't flinch. He answered that leading through chaos is not babysitting, and dropped fact about economic growth, shifting the mood even further in her favor. When Colbert mocked Trump's tariffs, Leavitt fired back that Americans care more about jobs and cheap milk, and that tariffs saved millions of jobs last year. As she offered hard numbers, the crowd reacted loudly and visibly. Colbert struggled to regain control, his jokes landing with less force, while Leavitt kept striking back, reminding the audience of rebuilding America and calling out media distractions as tactics to hide the truth. She maintained composure while calling out what she saw as media manipulation. She pressed forward, unbothered by Colbert's sarcasm when he questioned if Trump's style was just for shock value. She said it's about speaking plainly, something his audience obviously appreciates. With every answer, she flipped the script and took command of the moment. Even when Colbert tried pivoting to issues like Trump's transparency, she responded with detailed plans on lowering costs, raising wages, and cutting drug prices, turning audience energy to her side. When asked if she was too young or unqualified to handle controversies, she countered that being afraid is hosting a show where no one laughs, and claimed her mission was to bring truth to the audience, not scripted entertainment. Colbert's questions became more desperate, from tax cuts to immigration to NATO alliances, but Leavitt stayed composed, stating Trump helped the average worker strengthen borders, save billions, and stood up for American interests. While the media played games and distorted facts, audience members began siding with her, some shouting support while others held signs cheering for Gen Z as she dismantled every question. Colbert's grip on the show slipped, his smile forced, his fingers drumming his pen nervously behind the scenes. Panic began to grow, producers muttering about losing control. When Colbert tried cornering her with Trump's lawsuits and ethics accusations, she replied that criticism is a media game to tarnish real success, and insisted the public wanted truth, not theater. Finally, Colbert tried changing the topic to Hollywood movies, an obvious dodge that only made his defeat more visible. Leavitt stood victorious, poised as the cameras kept rolling. Colbert fumbled through a thank you, but the crowd's energy had shifted completely. Backstage, Leavitt, cool and collected, posted a thank you message on X, which instantly gained thousands of likes and supportive comments. While clips of her performance spread rapidly across social media, users declared she had torched the Late Show. One post showing Colbert snapping his pen went viral. Others praised Leavitt as a Gen Z icon, turning her into a symbol of young conservative strength. TikTok videos mimicked her icy stare, while captions like "When you're 27 and shut down Hollywood" flooded the feed. Young people, especially from rural areas, embraced a moment, showing the world that Gen Z wasn't just about social media, but capable of taking over media spaces and making powerful voices heard. Towns and cities shared her story as a reminder that anyone can make waves, but not everyone cheered. Colbert's loyal fans pushed back on X, claiming he was just being polite or didn't want to argue with a young woman. One post with thousands of likes said Colbert let her win because he's a pro, but these efforts were quickly buried under Leavitt's support. A user replied pro. He snapped his pen and stammered. The image of Colbert's broken pen became a meme everywhere, with captions like "When you think you're king, but meet Karoline." The online divide mirrored America today. One side saw Leavitt as a flame of truth, the other as a threat of controversy. Mainstream media got swept up. Two major outlets rushed out analyses with headlines from "Leavitt beats Colbert on his turf" to "The Late Show's TV disaster." One piece noted Leavitt didn't just talk, she turned Colbert's audience against him. A first conservative commentators hailed her as MAGA's new star, calling the interview a generation-defining moment. An editor wrote she turned satire into her weapon, leaving Colbert to shadow liberal critics. Meanwhile, warned of Leavitt's danger, saying she used the stage to amplify division. One article argued she didn't debate, she performed, and that's troubling. But love her or hate her, no one denied Leavitt made the Media talk about how politicians didn't stay silent either. Trump supporters quickly spoke up, with conservative leaders sharing the interview clip on X calling Leavitt the future of the movement. One senator posted, "Karoline speaks for millions of Americans the media ignores." Meanwhile, opponents tried to downplay it, but even they had to admit her pull. A liberal lawmaker commented, "She knows how to steal the spotlight. We've got to learn that Leavitt didn't just beat Colbert, she made the political world rethink how to reach young voters who were now swept up in her fire on TikTok." And ex-audience members at the studio shared on social media, "I came to see Colbert but left impressed by Karoline." One wrote on X, "When she spoke, I felt represented, but not everyone agreed." Another posted, "She just attacked Colbert. Should have been tougher." The divide spread from the studio to online, with groups debating fiercely, was Leavitt truly for the people or just a mega star who could act either way? Her name was etched into millions of minds. Back in the studio, Colbert sat frozen, the lights mocking his face. The audience hadn't stopped clapping, some even leaving their seats, as if the show ended with Leavitt. When the control room team stopped arguing, sinking into silence, knowing they'd witnessed history. The storm on the Late Show stage had settled, but the aftershocks of Karoline Leavitt's victory still rocked every corner of media and politics. The 27-year-old Gen Z White House press secretary didn't just humiliate Stephen Colbert, the once unbeatable king of satire. She turned his turf into her launchpad. The studio minutes ago roaring with chants of Karoline, Meghan now held a heavy silence. Colbert, with a shattered smile and a broken pen, became a symbol of old media defeat. Leavitt, with blazing eyes and the Queen's poise, was a flag of a new generation. But what made this win, and why does it matter? Beyond one interview, Leavitt didn't win just with smarts or data, though she had both. She won because she understood the audience, the era, and how to turn Colbert's stage into her weapon. While Colbert leaned on snarky jokes, Leavitt brought sincerity, truth, and a Gen Z style unafraid of confrontation. She didn't dodge or sugarcoat. She charged into battle, turning every question into a chance to speak for millions who felt ignored by the media. When the audience stood holding signs like Gen Z leads or live streaming her victory smile, they weren't just cheering Leavitt, they were cheering a generation daring to challenge the status quo. 3 decades ago, Bill Clinton played saxophone on the Arsenio Hall show, shattering the stiff politician image, connecting with young voters through relatability. Leavitt did the same. But bolder, she didn't need an instrument. She used words sharp as knives to turn a Trump-hostile show into a mega arena like Barack Obama once dominated TV with hope. Leavitt sees it with truth and confidence, but she did it against a seasoned foe on his home turf. Her victory wasn't just personal. It was a symbol of Gen Z's power raised on TikTok X. In a world skeptical of traditional media, Colbert didn't lose for lack of talent. He's a stage master, but he misjudged. He thought Leavitt, young and tied to Trump, would be easy to overwhelm. He didn't expect Gen Z plays by new rules. Leavitt didn't just answer, she attacked, turning his jokes into her ammo. When he awkwardly pivoted to Hollywood movies, the audience laughed not at humor but at his failure. Colbert, stuck in his familiar style, was trapped in his own kingdom, unable to adapt to an opponent, unfazed by stage lights. Leavitt when raises a big question: does traditional media still have power in a Gen Z-shaped world? She didn't just take down Colbert, she challenged the system he represents. When her ex-post thanks to the audience for standing with the truth got thousands of shares, when hashtag Karoline Rules trended, she proved power now lies in platforms like X and TikTok, where youth don't need a TV desk to be heard. TikTok videos of Gen Z reenacting Leavitt's victory smile showed a generation ready to write its own story. No media approval needed. Leavitt did something rare. She turned an interview into a manifesto. She spoke for those who feel mocked by the media, called backward for their belief. When the audience shouted, "She speaks for us," in the studio, they weren't just cheering Leavitt, they were cheering a movement, a generation rising. She showed Gen Z isn't just memes and live streams, they are a political force ready to face anyone, even an icon like Colbert. Leavitt proved a 27-year-old could shake a TV show with just truth and courage, but her win also warned traditional media adapt or fade. As the audience left the studio, as social media buzzed with her name, one thing was clear: Leavitt isn't just a press secretary, she's Gen Z's flame. And it's spreading. Colbert, with his broken pen and fading smile, was just her first step. Karoline Leavitt swept the Late Show stage clean, leaving a rattled studio and a Stephen Colbert with a broken smile. She didn't just humiliate the king of satire, she rewrote the rules of media and politics. She's a spark of a new administration, where youth sees the reins to shape the future, and icons like Colbert face the risk of fading. This win wasn't just a moment, it was a revolution. Leavitt pulled off the unthinkable. She turned Colbert's stage, where politicians once trembled, into her springboard. She didn't need a script or teleprompter. With razor-sharp confidence, she turned every jab from Colbert into a chance to speak for millions who feel mocked by the media. When the audience roared, holding signs like Gen Z leads and live streaming her standing tall, they weren't just cheering Leavitt, they were recognizing a new force. She proved a young woman armed with courage and truth could rattle a media empire. Colbert, with his broken pen and lost eyes, became a lesson for anyone daring to underestimate Gen Z's power. Karoline became a symbol not just for Trump supporters, but for a generation seeking a voice on TikTok. Thousands of Gen Z videos mimic her confident poise, making her a model for youth wanting to challenge power. On X posts hailed her as MAGA's queen or Colbert's conqueror, hitting millions of views, while conservatives called her the movement's future. Even those who disagreed admitted Leavitt changed how politics is presented. She didn't just speak, she inspired, turning values like patriotism and candor into a flame, drawing young voters. Meanwhile, Colbert and The Late Show face an unprecedented crisis. Online post questioned, is Colbert still relevant? Some called the interview a TV disaster with his broken pen of viral memes. Some fans defended him, saying he was just polite, but even they couldn't deny Colbert was outmatched. He and his team now face pressure to reshape the show to win back an audience Leavitt stole. But can they adapt to a world where Gen Z, swift and fearless, is rewriting the rules? Karoline became an inspiration for millions of youth across America, from small towns to big cities, who once thought politics was for elites. On platforms like X, users called her a guiding flame, sharing how a girl from New Hampshire, unafraid of stage lights, made the world notice. She changed how young politicians connect with the public. Before politicians leaned on scripted speeches or controlled interviews, Leavitt smashed that mold, stepping into the lion's den, Colbert's stage, and making it her moment. She didn't need long scripts. She used sincerity and sharp arguments to bond directly with the audience, like when the studio shook with shouts of Gen Z leads to send a bold message to future politicians. In a world of live streams and ex-post truth and relatability, Trump flashy performances, Leavitt didn't just inspire, she forced traditional media to rethink itself after what some outlets called Colbert's disaster. Shows like The Late Show face a tough question: are they still the public's voice? As memes of Colbert's broken pen spread, as young viewers ditched him for Leavitt on TikTok, producers realized they couldn't rely on satire to hold an audience. One online analysis noted Leavitt exposed old media's weakness. They laugh, but no one listens. Other shows started booking younger dynamic guests, but none could recreate Leavitt's moment of turning a stage into a battlefield. She said, "A new bar media must engage, not just perform." Leavitt's win also shook American politics. Conservative leaders saw her as a rising star, someone who could pull in young voters, a group they'd struggled with. Some called her a game changer, able to make traditional values modern. Meanwhile, her opponents, from liberal commentators to rival politicians, had to admit her influence. One article conceded Leavitt doesn't just talk, she makes people believe. She proved politics doesn't have to be dry, it can be a stage where a young woman makes the nation listen. Gen Z isn't just the future, they're the present, and Leavitt is their flag bearer. She showed that in a divided world, truth and courage can break any barrier. Even The Late Show stage lights the story of Karoline Leavitt's triumph over Stephen Colbert on The Late Show mirrors a polarization and change in today's American society, where new generations challenge traditional power structures. In today's context, with social media like X and TikTok shaping opinion, and traditional media often doubted for bias, Leavitt's story is a beacon of confidence and era seizing ability. She didn't just take down Colbert, the icon of old satire, with sharpness and sincerity. She turned his stage into a platform to speak for those who feel overlooked, like when the audience shouted, "She speak for us." This reflected truth in America. People, especially youth, crave voices that represent them, not just jokes or sensational headlines. A lesson from this story is to dare to stand up and speak your truth, even against giants. Leavitt, just 27, didn't let youth or stage lights shake her. She prepared, thoroughly answered with data and courage, like when she left Colbert reeling with "Scared is when you host and no one laughs in real life." America, whether you're a student debating in class, an employee pitching to a boss, or a young person sharing views online, learn from Leavitt. Study hard, trust your worth, and don't fear challenging authority. When social media exploded with hashtag Karoline Rules, it showed the power of connecting authentically with a community. Be someone who steps onto the stage like Leavitt and turns every challenge into a chance to shine. Subscribe to the channel to explore more moments when Gen Z shakes the world like Karoline Leavitt did to Colbert. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video for more epic word battles.